So if your rescuers break down and there's no more rescuers coming, what do you do? My name is Captain Phil Wurr. I'm a captain, paramedic, technical rescue, aircraft rescue technician for a large city in Arizona. We respond on the most amount of mountain rescue, technical rescue type calls of any fire department based station in the US. I'm also the executive director of Paramedics Unlimited. I also run a technical rescue company called ALS RIM, which stands for Advanced Life Support with Rapid Extraction Module, which is specifically for technical rescue for wildland firefighters or mass casualty incidents, natural disasters. So my history is I have a life passion of saving lives and trying to make the world around me a better place as much as I can in my capacity. I wanted to take my skill set and try to help wildland firefighters. They work in an austere environment, can be hours away from the closest hospital, it can be miles away from the closest road that you could drive a vehicle or even a UTV on. So a lot of that required highly skilled medicine and hiking to get people out. Because in the austere environment, time saves lives. If you don't cut time, time can kill you. And that's when I discovered Bakcou Bike Company, who happened to make the perfect ideal bike for a rescue scenario. Yeah, so I was surprised when I came up with this concept. I started looking at videos to see it's a good idea. People should be doing this. And as I looked around, I found nothing. So I ended up having to create my own devices. Went to get a patent on the idea just to secure the quality of the item and hopefully release it, make it mainstream where people can use it everywhere for rescuing all over the world. And anywhere from bike trails to hiking trails to wildland fires, anywhere where the path becomes too narrow for a UTV to go. One fire that comes to mind, we were up in the mountains and it was a 3.5 mile hike and it was taking the hot shots. And hot shots out in the wildland are like the Navy SEALs. If they can hike something in 20 minutes, probably gonna take you an hour, you know, and they were taking 45 minutes, which tells you it's a substantial difference in a relatively challenging hike along the way. It would be reasonable to think that it could take a couple hours for us to get to a patient's side and provide medical care. So we were able to use these e-bikes and we were able to make the trip that was taking the hot shots 45 minutes to hike. We were doing it in 20 minutes flat. And we weren't pushing it, we were just kind of going at a comfortable pace on the e-bikes. It was good, and we did end up having a gentleman who got something that's common for all firefighters working outside, whether it's at structure or wildland. The conditions are incredibly hot, you're working very hard, and it breaks down your muscles, and if it's not treated somewhat rapidly, it can be life-threatening. It can shut your kidneys down and kill you. Larger gentleman, 275 pounds. It had been incredibly challenging to carry him. He got injured on a fire and we were able to put him in the bike, ride him over to the closest area where we could land a helicopter and fly him out. Back to time is life. We had the window of opportunity to fly him out, which would have saved him, you know, an hour to get down to the bottom, plus another hour drive to get back to pavement. So we were able to accomplish that with a helicopter. He got treatment, was 100% okay the next day. We caught it early enough and was able to get treated. But when you get to the austere environment, you absolutely can die from a large laceration, from a broken femur, from a broken tib fib. And it's that gap of the weather conditions are bad, we can't fly you, and now we have a problem because people are miles in to get them out. So in addition to inventing the UTV ambulances, the bikes are huge in saving time to respond to a patient, to stabilize them, and then also to reverse and get that patient out to definitive care. I think I say e-bikes, and it can't just be any e-bike, so this is something I want to clarify. To respond to a patient, any e-bike with power, I mean, all bikes are in the right environment are substantially quicker than walking. The problem with most e-bikes that I found, and this is what brought me to find Bakcou Bike Company, is that your throttle is, you either have to pedal, which isn't feasible if you're holding a patient on a gurney on top of you. So you don't ride with a patient, you walk alongside them. Picture yourself kind of walking your bicycle down the street with a heavy load. The throttle options on all of the e-bikes that I found is you hit the throttle and it goes. So you don't want to launch your patient down a cliff or around a hill or be chasing it. So Bakcou bike has a feature that made it perfect for what I needed, which is a walk-along feature. You push the button, it goes at a nice slow walking speed with a decent amount of torque, which propels the patient. And all you're essentially doing is balancing the patient as they're going flat surfaces and even uphill in a reasonable up here condition until it gets too high where you probably need rope to access that area anyway. And so being able to shave time, being able to save energy too, because it can be physically demanding on a 3-hour hike. And so if your rescuers break down and there's no more rescuers coming, what do? You know, and there's even protocols written with American Heart, times to stop CPR is when you are no longer physically capable of continuing. If you're out 4 or 5 miles in and you're having to do aggressive life-saving work, it's physically demanding. If you don't have enough people to help and rotate through, you're gonna get to a point where you just can no longer do any more. You can't go any further and you can't do any more. You're gonna have to stop, take a break, take a substantial break. Time is life, and you don't have time if someone's seriously hurt.